It was a rainy afternoon when Maya found the old envelope. It was tucked behind a stack of books on her shelf. She didn't remember putting it there. Her name was written in careful handwriting, slightly faded with time. Curious, she picked it up. The envelope was sealed, but she could see the soft paper inside. A shiver ran down her spine as she remembered who had written it. Years ago, she had wanted to tell someone how she felt. She had written a letter, but fear had held her back. She never sent it. Now, holding the letter in her hands, memories came rushing back. She remembered the afternoons she spent thinking about the words she wanted to say, the nights she practiced sentences in her head, the endless fear that she might be rejected or misunderstood. Maya carefully opened the envelope. Inside was the folded letter, the handwriting familiar and trembling slightly. She began to read. The words were simple, honest, and full of emotion. They spoke of friendship, care, and feelings she had been too shy to express. Every sentence reminded her of the bond they had shared. Every word made her heart ache with what could have been. She remembered the person she had written to, Alex, her best friend, her secret crush, someone who had always laughed at her jokes, who had always been kind, but never knew how deeply she cared. As she read the letter, she realized how much courage it had taken her younger self to write it, and yet, all that courage had stayed trapped in the envelope. It had never reached its destination. Maya felt a mix of sadness and warmth. Sadness because the words had been left unsent. Warmth because those words were still a part of her, a memory of her younger heart. She thought about Alex and wondered where he was now. She wondered if he had ever thought about her the same way. The thought made her heart tighten. Then Maya laughed softly to herself. It was a gentle, bittersweet laugh. She realized that even though the letter had never been sent, it had shaped her. It had taught her to feel deeply, to care without expecting anything in return. It had shown her that emotions are not always meant to be spoken. Sometimes, just feeling them is enough. Maya folded the letter carefully and placed it back in the envelope. She set it on her desk, where she could see it every day. It was a reminder of courage. A reminder of the importance of feeling, even in silence. Later that evening, Maya walked to the window. Rain fell softly outside, and the city lights reflected on the wet streets. She thought about the path she had taken in life, the choices she had made, and the ones she had not. Her heart felt lighter. She understood something important. Letters, words, and feelings are powerful, even when they are never sent. They teach us, guide us, and remain with us quietly, shaping who we become. Maya smiled. She didn't need to send the letter anymore. She had learned to honor her feelings in her own way, to remember that her emotions were real, valid, and meaningful. And in that quiet, rainy evening, Maya felt a sense of peace. She knew that love and courage can exist even without words. Sometimes, the greatest letters are the ones we carry in our hearts. It was a rainy afternoon when Maya found the old envelope. It was tucked behind a stack of books on her shelf, forgotten for years. Her name was written on it in careful, slightly faded handwriting. She didn't remember putting it there, and for a moment, she just held it in her hands, feeling the weight of time. Curious and a little nervous, Maya picked up the envelope. The paper felt soft, worn by years of being hidden away. She hesitated for a moment, wondering if she should open it. A shiver ran down her spine as she remembered who had written it. Years ago, she had wanted to tell someone how she felt. She had written a letter, pouring her heart onto the page, but fear had held her back. She had never sent it. Now, holding the letter, memories came rushing back. She remembered the afternoons she had spent carefully thinking about the words she wanted to say. She remembered pacing her room at night, practicing sentences in her head, repeating them until they sounded right. The fear of being rejected or misunderstood had always stopped her. The letter had been her courage, written but hidden away, never sent. Maya slowly opened the envelope. Inside was the folded letter, the handwriting familiar and slightly trembling. She began to read. The words were simple, honest, and full of emotion. They spoke of friendship, care, and feelings she had been too shy to express. Every sentence reminded her of the bond she had shared with Alex. Every word made her heart ache with what could have been. Alex. She remembered him clearly, her best friend, the one who had always laughed at her jokes, always been kind but never knew how deeply she cared. Back then, she had watched him from afar, admired him quietly, and never dared to speak the words that would have changed everything. Now, years later, reading her younger self's letter, she could see how much courage it had taken to write it. And yet, all that courage had stayed trapped in the envelope. It had never reached its destination. Maya felt a mixture of sadness and warmth. Sadness because the words had been left unsent. Warmth because those words were still a part of her. They were proof of a younger heart that had felt deeply, honestly, and without pretense. She could almost hear her own voice from those days. Timid but brave in its own quiet way. She remembered the times they had spent together. Simple afternoons in the park, evenings studying side by side, and long walks talking about dreams and fears. Alex had always listened, always cared, but she had been too afraid to reveal her feelings. She thought about all the what-ifs that had filled her mind back then. What if he had felt the same way? What if saying something would have ruined their friendship? The more she read, the more she realized how much she had learned from that unsent letter. It had taught her patience. It had taught her the importance of reflection and self-understanding. And it had taught her that emotions, even when unspoken, are valuable. They shape who we are, quietly and steadily. Maya folded the letter carefully and placed it back in the envelope. She set it on her desk, where she could see it every day. It was more than just a forgotten note. It was a reminder of courage, of feeling deeply even when the world does not see it. It reminded her that some of the most important letters are the ones we never send. Later, as the rain continued to fall outside, Maya walked to the window and watched the city lights reflecting on the wet streets. She thought about the path her life had taken, the choices she had made, the moments she had hesitated, the risks she had avoided, and yet she did not feel regret. She felt gratitude. Gratitude for the lessons of courage, love, and patience. Gratitude for her own ability to feel deeply, even in silence. For the first time in years, Maya allowed herself to imagine what might have happened if she had sent the letter. She pictured Alex reading her words, smiling softly, maybe even writing back, and she felt a gentle warmth, a sense of connection that existed even without words. She realized that the letter had served its purpose. It had helped her grow, helped her understand herself, and helped her value her own emotions. Maya smiled softly. She didn't need to send the letter anymore. Its words were alive in her heart. They reminded her that love, courage, and honesty do not always require action. Sometimes, simply feeling them fully is enough. As the rain slowed and the clouds began to clear, Maya sat back in her chair, holding the envelope. She thought about the people in her life, the friendships she had nurtured, and the quiet love she had carried for so long. She understood that emotions are not failures if they are not expressed outwardly. They are gifts that shape us, quietly, beautifully, and powerfully. Maya felt a sense of peace settle over her. The letter, once a symbol of hesitation and fear, had become a symbol of growth and understanding. She knew that the feelings she had once feared were still a part of her, guiding her toward compassion, patience, and self-awareness. And she knew that someday, if the moment was right, she might share them. But for now, she could honor them quietly, in her own heart. She carefully placed the envelope back on her desk and took a deep breath. Life would continue, full of new letters, new emotions, and new experiences. But she would always remember the lessons of this one unsent letter. She would carry its courage with her, letting it guide her in her friendships, in her dreams, and in the quiet moments when reflection is the loudest voice. Maya closed her eyes for a moment, listening to the gentle rhythm of the rain. She felt connected to her past, to her feelings, and to the quiet, enduring power of love. She understood that even when words are not spoken, they leave an imprint on the heart, shaping who we are and who we will become. And in that quiet, rainy afternoon, Maya felt a gentle sense of completeness. The letter, though never sent, had found its way back to her. Not as a message to someone else, but as a message to herself. She smiled, feeling a soft warmth in her heart, knowing that some letters, some feelings, are meant to stay inside us, quietly teaching us, guiding us, and reminding us of who we truly are.